Hello again, this is Old Man PHP. I create PHP video tutorials for the old guys who want to learn a new skill and compete with the young crowd. This is video 74, and what we're going to discuss is how to insert into the database, how to insert contact form into a database. Now remember, forms can be created for all kinds of stuff. But in this case, we're using just the contact stuff. But you can do all kinds of forms. And it works the same way no matter what. So now, let's continue by going into the contact. Next time I'll just scroll by just grabbing and just getting there quick. Okay, this is the contact form. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna put it over here. Remember how I broke it down for the other ones? This is the actual contact form. You have your section, right? Remember, everything is divs, but we're using HTML5, so that means we can rename some of these elements so it can kind of, so when the browser engine looks at it, so okay, it's going to be a section, oh, it's going to be a header. It's just a way just helping out, right? In Google. So what happens is you say section, right? Now this whole thing is you got a opening and then you have an ending, okay? And I told you from the other ones, I broke it down so you can see it better, you can find it better. So if you need to cut, just cut that. But normally you don't cut contact forms because you can put it in a separate file and then call it, like you hit the contact form and it goes so far. But it's because I'm using the same script, like in the HTML file, how it reads itself. That's why I broke it down this way so you can look at it better. What I'm trying to say here is this is the contact form. This is what it looks like, right? You've seen that already. And then we're going to use this, the insert. What I want to let you know that when I was doing the search and update and maybe delete, how I was calling the view and creating the reports or creating the JSON file or reading the JSON file and displaying it. When I hit these buttons, it does the same thing. It's a submit button. All these are submit buttons. So as you can see, and submit buttons works with forms. You have your, see, submit, 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 submit. These are hidden. I'm going to explain to you in a second. Submit, submit, submit. It's all submit buttons, right? There is hidden input file elements inside a form. You normally don't see it because, as the type says, hidden. It's not there. But if you go look, let's go here. Right click, do the view of the page source. A little slow there. Alright, let's get to, as you can see, you don't see any PHP stuff, right? Because the PHP stuff works on the server side, so the browser can't see that information. It's secure. Let's get to the form. So I'm going to drag this a little bit down. Just get to the form part. That's the one form. That's that's the images. That's the slider. That's the carousel. Here it goes, right here. In this situation, remember how I told you that it is it's hidden. You don't see it. But as you notice, it's the same thing. It is the same type of input as the other ones. Where is it? This is the text input as the other one. Same thing. But instead of saying text that is hidden, that's what you see, the text, you're going to say hidden. And the reason why I did that is because I also named it get nouns form. Nonce is a way of it's another security measure because you want to hide some stuff, right? So within this input hidden box, I had within the value. Remember, every time I tell you one thing, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but anytime you put stuff in here or here and here, it's actually a value, right? It gets sent over to the destination, and that script will read it, and because it's values, and it's sent as an array. Okay, so as you can see, it's not where is it? It's hidden here. Same thing hidden here. Now we have this command. This is an HTML that's embedded within the value qualifier. And you're wondering, well, what is that? Well, I want you to echo something. You know, like if you say $num equals 23 and you want to echo that 23, you will say echo num 23, and it'll give it to you. You learned that because I've shown you that before in the way back in the teens previous videos. And what this does is, I want you to run this particular, I'm going to write this, let me see. I want you to run this what is that function. I want you to run this function, and what happens is you don't see nothing, but when you submit the file, you'll have something in here under this name. And if you look at it closely, because we went into check out the source, we look at it, it's the same command, but if you go, can I get closer to look at it right here? Let's see if I can move this a bit. See value, you have all this craziness right here. This is a encryption right here. Oh, good. An encryption. This is an encryption. You ran a form function that's going to create an encryption, stick it in here as the value, and then when you submit it, and you know what happens when you submit, it goes to the same file because that's what I want. Let's go to the form element right here. Form element is going to call the same file, this one, which just happens to be this one. Right? It's going to call that, and then it's going to check. So I'm going to go to the actual. This is just a cut that I have for you guys. It goes in and reads this, and it says, oh, is this crud.php? Because it is the file crud.php, which is cool. In production world, I want you to put the Arial key exists. See the nonce? I want you to put it right here first. And make sure you have the closing bracket, the parentheses way down, okay, way down. But right now I have well, you can do that, and then you can have this. Oh yeah, it's fine. You don't really need this part. Once you do this, you really don't need this part, but I like to have that little extra stuff just in case. And then it goes right down. Look, it creates the variables in global, right? Global variable. Then the array key exists. It tells you, hey, is this a key exists, which it does because you created it in here. Where is it? This key. Where is this? This is another one, by the way. Where are you? Where did I put it? Oh, right here. Is this key exist? Because now it's a key, right? Does it exist? You say, yes, it does. What's the name of this? Oh, okay. And you know it's post. This is another way of doing this kind of stuff. So what happens is you say, okay, key exists. Yes, it does exist. And if it exists, that's okay. right? Because when you submit it, it goes back and says, yeah, it exists. That's okay. You can check that later. You can check all the other stuff later with it. But what I did was when I created the hash, what is the name of the actual, what is it? Let's see, what did we call this? We called it nouns. So we're going to say nouns form. Let's come here. Let's search. What the hell? Boom. That's your first nouns. That's your second. That's the one that causes you. By the way, even though you're getting it like this from the form, you can actually create a variable using the same type of name. It could be any name you want. And what happens is it looks at this and goes, oh, look, it puts it in here, right? And then it says, okay, I want you to verify. See, look, I want you to verify. By verifying, I want you to verify whatever that was sent through that hidden input element value from the form, and I want you to compare it with this. This you can do whatever you want. I just put anything there because I wanted to do this test with you guys. In reality, you make sure you keep this secret, okay? Because this is what's got encrypted earlier. I'll show you how it got there. And when you do this, then you do the password underscore verify, and that's what does this. Creates that thing, what you got, and it uncrypts it, checks it with this, which is this, what this is. And if it's their problem, if there's comes as a false, then you say, yo, you got a problem with the encryption. Otherwise, it just keeps going down. Okay? It'll go down to my connection and everything else that you are doing on that file. So let's just go like this and go. And here's the form. When you, I didn't put it here under this little pieces, but in reality, it's there. When you get down there to the HTML part of it, I created in a function, and this is what I called. This is what you see in the hidden. Right here. Okay, this is what you see here. See, you're going to call this, which has already been put into the HTML file. And how you notice that you might want to go all the way up to show you, but I'll show you anyway. Oh my God, how big is this issue? Right over, where is it? Right here, see? The HTML file is all the way down, right? So I put that in there. Let's get in there. So I put that in there because I want it to run. Now remember, it doesn't do anything. All I'm doing right now in this case is just creating it. That's it. And I want the token to have this. And it's the same thing that I showed you before. I'll show you later. Earlier when we did the verify. But what creates it is the password underscore hash. So it takes this token, creates the encryption. Password underscore default is what you need. That's what helps it. Right? And then it puts it into this variable, and then it returns it. Now in this case, right now, let's say the browser is reading each line, and it's saying, oh look, it got to this, so it's going to reach up, but it doesn't do anything. It just sets it up for you, so that when you get to I'm not going to go find the form, so I'm just going to find it here real quick. So when you run it, remember what I told you? When you run it, that's when things happen. You run it. It did this. Where is it? It runs this stuff. It takes this information and then it returns. It returns hash table. And when you do that, this is what you get, and this is what you see here. This is what you see here. And as it goes up to once you have called yourself, which happens to be this file, Let's go back up, close itself. Right here, because you sent it, right? You sent it. Then you say, oh, let me create one with that same information that you had from before. Make sure that it's the same thing. Then it compares this, which happens to be assigned to this variable. It compares this variable to the actual nouns. That information that you saw that was encrypted, which is this here. And it verifies, is this equal to this? Good. It's going to say, yeah, true. It creates a what you would call it, a true or false. So it creates, this becomes a true, because it's going to be the, if I change this, it's going to come out to false, and then I'll get a message saying you have a problem with the encryption. I think I showed you that before in a test. Since I'm doing this as a local editor, it's not gonna, if I change it now and run, it won't work. I will have to get into, and I didn't want to do that because it has too many credential stuff all over the place, and then since I don't have a good editor, I won't be able to blur it out. But you get the message. You verify, it says it's true, it goes like this, does the else, then it does the connection and everything else. Okay. Now, because I am inserting the thing, I'm not doing the insert yet. What I'm doing is actually checking. Even if I went to search, or which you always do before you do an update and delete, you have to always search it. So it'll come up. Remember I showed you that a few videos back. When you do the search, it goes through all this. I didn't show you, I didn't say that before because I knew in the insert I was going to do all this. To insert a record to a database. But it goes through all this. All that stuff goes through all this. Goes through all this. It checks it. Remember, it reads whatever's in the form. That's what this is. It filters out input. It says it filters out the input of a post data, and it says you know that it's post because I mentioned that in the form statement, the actual form line. Where is it? Right here. This is the actual form. The method is post. That's what that is. So what happens is it reads the first name, last name, email, address, because that's the name I gave it. What's the first name, Nancy? First name. This is just ID for the CIS, for the CSS. It reads the, it looks at the ID and it does certain things. It depends on what you want. It does the same thing with the last. It does all this stuff, right? And that's what I do. I do it all like that. Even though if you was just searching to update or searching to delete, or you're just searching to look at, or you want to read the data, or you want to, it's going to do all this. Okay. Then here's the part. When you insert, this is, I put this here because it was for something that I was doing before. I mean, in real life, you can take all that out because, you know, when you got too much comments, it doesn't slow it really down. It just looks a little messy. So what happens is now it says, oh yeah, it is post, and I did hit insert. Remember I told you when you hit everything is a submit. Right here is the submit button. Submit. I mean the insert name, which is the insert button. It says it's type submit. Remember I told you everything submits because you know why? When you do that, you're submitting this stuff over so that this form action, this actual file, can do something with it. Since it's calling each other, it's calling itself, which happens to be this, then you go through all this stuff, all these things like separation. Like if this is not a search, this is not an update, this is not that, no, this is an insert. So anything that's within these curly braces, which is a lot, you're going to do this. Now remember when I told you that it did the search, it runs this whole thing, it actually runs just this part. just this part. It does the checking of this stuff, of course. Then it runs this part. It just puts it into a variable. It doesn't do much. And it said, oh, is that a search? No, it isn't. So it goes down to where the search is. It does those parts. And it goes, and the same thing with the delete. It goes down to where the delete is. And I showed you that already. All right. And this is, the insert is a little bigger because now you're putting into a database a whole bunch of stuff. So we'll go here. We're going to put all these stuff in there in the database. And what we're going to do is, of course, you do this because we want to keep the variables because you're going to be using these variables within all this stuff here. So now what happens is it goes like this and it has all this information, right? You need to put all your information. It's a form. And it goes, oh, look, empty. Remember I said the first name, this is what this is. And what it's doing right now in this situation is finding out if it's empty. If the name is empty and last name, email, URL, blah, 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 if all that stuff is empty, you could say a message, all input form data are empty. And you can also, when you do the redirect using the header, the location would be the actual file that you're looking at, plus you're putting in a query string of 2, so that way when it calls itself, it's going to go all the way down to where the error stuff is, and that's when you get these little let's go here. Oh man, they're trying to tell me. Oh, let's go to the bottom so that'll be shorter. You get all this information here so that you inserted to a database, and you also get it. Where is it? You also get it over here. So let's get back to, let's go back there. Alright, so you put this information, now it sees everything that is on, you get that. Then what it does too, right, because a lot of times people, they'll write something, I'm going to put something over here. They'll say something like Bill Lee, let's say. And then they go like this with a space. Or maybe they hit a space and then they put Bill Lee. It's going to look at this as 1, 2, what is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you put a space here, and 10. Or if you didn't put a space there, it'll be 9. And we don't want that. We don't want those spaces. So what you do is you, after you have checked that they blank, I mean that is empty, and you check this is empty, you check that this is empty, that's it. So far, so good. If it's not empty, that's all right. It just keeps going. Then what happens is you trim it. So if you have extra spaces, this trims it. Takes it out. So if you got, what is it, and has A, 3 letters. If it had 4 characters, then it trims that. Trims all the spaces. It'll be 4. So look, you're writing it right back to it. I know you're using it, but you're writing it back. Doesn't harm it. Not just putting a different name and constantly, before you know you got a whole bunch of, no, just read it right back to it. You trim it right back to that same variable with that information. Right? So, oh, look right here. A trims function trims out the spaces from the beginning and the end of a string. Then what happens is you do the preg_replace. Because I want to replace anything, like somebody will say something like this. Matter of fact, somebody will put in like a bracket with the strip. I mean, what is that? The styles and the script. If you do that and you put some HTML stuff or JavaScript stuff into the boxes, it could do harm. You never know. So what you do is you're going to stop it at its tracks. So if we put it, look right here, this part will replace any script and styles with spaces. The replace function returns a string or an array of a string, where it is replaced on the left argument of what you have defined on the second argument. The third argument is the actual variable that replace the preg_replace will use, which is this, right? Just like you're using it here, so you're saying it back, but now we're taking this and putting it in here, is looking at, it's going to bring it right back over here. But if you see any of this stuff, any of these crazy characters that they tried to put in there, see that little thing right here? What it does is it replaces all this stuff and it replaces it with nothing. It takes it away. It takes it away. The name part and all that will be there, but this stuff that somehow got in there takes it away. Takes it away. Same thing here. It takes this messages stuff about, right? All this all this craziness, it takes it away. Same thing here with the URL. Now in this particular, it's a the strip the tags function strips away any HTML, XML, and PHP tags. People say, well, you're doing some of the stuff over here. Yeah, but I like to double it because this takes out the tags of anything. You're not putting scripts and stuff. You're just putting like something like, if you wanted to put it like in the name, something like this. I'm going to put it over here. And then you say Andres. And then you say P like that. If you did that, this takes away all this crap. Takes it away. That's another level of security. You go here, you're securing to make sure there's those spaces, because you don't want space going into the database. You want to trim it because you don't want those extra spaces. You want to make sure that there's no crazy scripts or styles inside here. Then you want to strip the tags to be sure that no elements. Then I know people say, well, why do you use it? You're using it over here, but you're also doing, which is coming up right now, the HTML entities function that converts characters to HTML tags. So this converts this will well, right here, look, converting characters into entities that are often used to prevent browser from using it. So if you kind of put your name, which is kind of strange why anybody would do that, but I guess you would do it in the messaging part, the part where you do want to send some comments. Like if you did something like Andres and Jack, like this, and you put it in there. What it does is it takes this and it gives you the actual equivalent of the entity, what it looks like. The entities are the stuff like I forgot what one would be right now because I can't think of it right now, but if you had to do something like that, it would be something like this, you know. See, something like that for space. Those are the HTML entities. So what it does, just adds that to it. But I put it in the name and all that. Nobody would ever do that. I don't know. Maybe somebody might want to do something like this. Oh, let's take away that S. You usually be something like this. Because some people have the accent mark and you want to make an accent mark under the E. That's what it does. It just puts in the actual characters. You know, there'll be another, you know something, I will do another video of all the characters. It will be a short one, so you can see what I'm talking about. Anyway, it goes down the line and it says, okay, now what I did was here, I did a preg match function. I used a preg match function, but I created an array with first name, and of course, remember what I told you, these are the variables that you get from over here. Last name, you know, because I wanted to do, like, the reason why I did that is because I wanted to use the for each. I didn't want to check for delete and insert message elements. I wanted to replace those things, the delete, the insert, those little things that you would use for SQL, that do the injection, the SQL illegal insertion. I wanted to get rid of that. So the way to do it, instead of doing it for each one, what happens if you have 20 forms in an element? Well, right now we got a lot of forms in an element, right? But just wanted to use wanted to check just these guys. The other ones, you can do it too, but I just kept comment these things out. Just wanted to check out for these guys only. So what happens is it goes here and it goes through the array. That's why there's an array. The for each will say do this, and then do this, and then do this, and then do this. As a key and value, right? That's the pair, because it's an associated array. This is how you do it. If you didn't have associated, like you didn't have this part right here, it was just a name, then it'd just be as and whatever name you give it. Shorter name, of course. So you didn't have to use the longer name. So what I did was I used a match to check. If it has anything that says delete, I want you to, if it has anything that's, or it has the insert, or it has something called update, the IE, see that E right there? It says search. It's more like within there, just search to see if it's in there. Anything that's contained. Then you do the select, the same thing. And if there is something in there, it'll say, sorry, you have SQL illegal insertion. And then this probably will go to you real fast. But I kind of hooked it up over here too anyway, number 4. So it reads itself, it says 4, and then it goes down to the errors part of it, and it gives you that message. Sorry, you have a SQL illegal insertion. So that means that you have to make sure you put the your name, and your last name, email, URL. Do it correctly. Don't mess around. Don't be a hacker. Don't try doing crazy stuff, because I'm gonna stop it anyway. Don't put bad words too. I hooked up something where you can put bad words in here, and it spits it right back out. Did I do it here? I don't know. Did I? Let's see. What do I have that was a bad word? I don't know. Maybe it was this. No, wasn't that. Did clock. No, did not do it. Did not do it. Oh, yes, it did. Look at that. I made Dick Clock a bad word, and it took it out. So you get the point. I didn't want to put in those other words, those really bad words, because YouTube will, will see that, and it probably will stop me from, will suspend this particular YouTube video. And I don't want that. I want people to see this. So if you did Dick Clark, remember him? Boom. Pause that. Now remember, that technique can work in any of these things. I don't think I did it for these guys, but in real life, that same technique, which is in JavaScript, which I will show you how to do that on the other video, you can do that for all these guys. Okay? So when somebody puts in the bad word here, or Dick Clark here, or whatever, it'll spit it right back out. Anyway, let's continue. So this is what that does. Then what I wanted to do was, well, some people always tend to put the what is it, lowercase, uppercase, whatever it is. Wanted to have a uniform. So in this case, I'm telling you, take the first name, last name, and I want you to lowercase that thing. Just lowercase all the names. So if you did something like this, it will be more. This is what happens. Let me drink some water. Okay. And then what I did was I wanted to add caps just to the first letter. So if you did, like I told you, like I don't know, this, and then you went like this, and then you went there like this. Let's say you did this, and you put it in there. This will turn it into this, and then when you come here, it's going to turn this into this. that. That's what that does. And that way you have a uniform in the database, because people usually have the first letter with the teacher in school name caps. All right. Now in this particular case, I want to replace like a pattern. There's a pattern, right? So that you can create. So what happens is, if you're here and you put Andres, let's say Andres, and somehow you put Andres with a number like 8, any number, 1,000, Andres 100, or something like that. What this does, it replaces it. So what happens, not replaces, just takes you, it tells you there's a problem. And what I did was I used a preg match underscore match, and I think I showed you guys how to do that, right? And it looks like it should be letters. It should be letters, for lowercase letters and uppercase letters. That's all it's saying. Same thing here, lowercase letters, uppercase letters. That's it. And for some reason, there's weird stuff. It'll say there's a problem with your form data format, and then it says, it calls itself and gives you a query string of 6, and of course this script right here, which gets to the bottom part, and it'll give you the message on the screen. Now if everything is fine, then it just keeps going. Then it says the same thing with the filter of emails. In this particular, people use you might forget, you might say something like ANDRES, and then say some crazy, I don't know, something like this, AOL, or you might have forgotten AOL.com, like that. Forgot to put in that at sign, what is that, the at, like this, you forgot to do that. If it looks at that and says, well, that format is invalid, then it tells you if you didn't do it right, it'll say there is a problem with your email address. And just make sure you put it right? You'll do something like this. Make sure it's done right. gmail.com. Like that. Make sure it's right. Even with the dot. If it's missing that stuff, it spills it out, gives you a message, and gives you a query string error of 813. And it quits. See this exit? That means it exits out and gives you right back to the main, to the actual form. Fresh. And this is the same thing with the URL. You have a filter that says filter underscore validate the URL. Make sure that it has HTTP like that, or HTTPS like that. Okay. That's what I did here. See how there's different steps that you have to do to make sure that your data is completely sanitized and validated before it hits the database. And this is the end of the security part. Now comes the insert. After you have done that, everything is worked out good, then it comes to the insert. Now this is the select statement. Now remember, the reason why I'm doing this right here, because I want to select. If you put in here an email address with all that information, and it's going to check to see if that email address, because everybody should only have one email. If you can have multiple email addresses but with different things, but that one email address has got to be just one. I mean, like, I can't have my email address the same as somebody else's. Even if his name is Andres, we can't. It will have to be different. Just like Google tells you, it's out there, it's been used by somebody. Well, this is the same idea. It searches, it finds it, and if it finds it, and it's let me see, it selects this, it selects it, and the reason why I did this is because just to be sure, it puts it in here. It runs my connection. Remember, we showed you that before. Then it comes here and does a prepare statements and checks. It checks. Right? Remember that we talked about that? And then what happens is it executes. I don't have a bind value. I could have put something different. No bind values. It checks it anyway. Executes that prepare statement. Then it fetches that information because it's using the object method of fetch all. Puts it into the check data variable. Then of course don't forget to close. Everything has to be closed once you do these things. Then now that you have this, it's going to be like an array. You're going to use the for each. And remember how we did the for each and whatever variable as a dollar key associated array as a dollar value. It's different. Key value pair is not that. We don't need it because it's only one thing. So right now it says dollar check data, and as we're going to call it dollar C data. It's just short, and it just says dollar dat. It's smaller than this anyway. Then what you do is you check. You say, hey, is that email address equals to this? So what happens is it checks the database to see if that email address is there. If that email address is there, it's going to spill out. It's going to go right. It's going to redirect you right out into your same script with the error message 10. And it'll give you that message, sorry, your duplicate email, or you're already in the database, or whatever. But if you're not, it checks, it goes, okay, that's cool, it just keeps going, gets out of this if statement, condition. Then it goes into the insert. Now we're inserting the form data. If everything works out fine, that you're the only one. If you're not, it just spells you right out. But if you're not, you don't exist in a database, then it's cool. Then you create a variable called query. Excuse me. Insert, and you're gonna say equals insert into the data table. Excuse me, into the table. That's the name of the table, and these are the fields of each of these tables. And make sure it is in this order. So in the table you have first name, last name, email, URL, and all these things in this order. That's fine. But if you mix up that order, it errors out. I won't let you do it. Everything has to match. Let's put it that way. So you gotta make sure to be completely sure. Make sure that it is in that same order. All right. So you got your first name. Now in this value, I could just say, remember how we have? Where is it? Where's the username? Like this guy right here. Let's go here. We could have just put that right here. Just like this. But we're not going to do that. Because we're going to use a placeholder. It's more secure. It really is. It's more secure. You go like this. And now you run your connection. Remember I told you that. Then you're going to run your prepare statement if that string doesn't do anything yet, but it prepares it. Then you're going to do the bind value, which remember this is the placeholder. You're going to put the placeholder right here, comma, in the actual variable. Not the other way around. It has to be in this order. And you got to make sure you put these in quotes. Okay? Then you do that for the first name, last name, email, blah, 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 city, sex, vehicle. Then you execute. Why so much space here? Then you exit. Doesn't really matter, but it's just, my OCD. No, my OC. Now listen. Then you execute it, and then you close it up, right? Like everything else. And then you're going to send a message saying your data insertion. Normally this goes too fast, because by the time you get this on the screen, you're already here. But I put it in there for good measures. but it's already hit. If you go to error 1, this is exactly what this is. Now, and in this case, I also created a variable to say, hey, hello, well, the person that was putting that information in, you just added a record to a database. Then you're gonna say to, that will be the email, that will be the subject matter, which just happens to be that. Then you're gonna say text is either whatever subject matter it is. Then you're gonna say header is from andres.rivera@gmail.com. And then I'm not right now, in this case, I'm not using the email, but if you needed to do it, this is how you do it. You use the mail utility, right? It's a function utility, that's what I call it. And then the to would be whatever the email, the subject, the text, and make sure it's in this order, and then the header. And that person who actually submitted the thing will get an email address. But I don't want to do it. 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, you start the upload. Now, as you can see, I don't have the upload form. You know, the little form here that says to upload your form. I took it out because I didn't like the way it looked on my thing. I will do something else, but in reality, you keep it in. Because let's say if this person is updating something, like you want also update a picture or something, it depends on what it is that you're doing. Right now, we're just doing a regular contact form. But if you needed to, you could put it like I don't know, you could kind of put it down here, right here. Put a little spot right here and just put it in there. And what happens is you get this little thing that tells you check out the file. It checks this. It opens up something like this, right? You pick your file name, and then what happens is it goes through the process. This is on the form. This is like over here under the form. It'll be kind of, you can put it over here. I don't know, you can put it anywhere really. And what happens is if you want to insert your name and address and all that stuff that you did from before, but you also want to upload an image, like let's say an image of yourself or something, then that's when you use this stuff. Right now, it'll look at this, there's nothing there, so it will disregard it. But if you have something there, it will break it down and it'll say, well, this is the actual file name that you're calling it. And then it breaks it down to the name, template name, error, and size, and type. If you go to one of those videos that I called way back, if you could remember, or go to my channel, it's there. But that it was all a video just for this stuff, for the file uploads, which I created. I also show you how it goes into the directory and it puts it into a folder. See, this particular case right here puts it into a temporary directory, and then you can also check for if there was errors or the size of the file or what type of file. The reason why I put this type of file stuff, so in case you want to just do stuff like just PDFs, or maybe you just want to do images, or you just want, by doing this, you're breaking this down. See, when you do the file name, like let's say image1.png, this tells you to explode that PNG, and it creates two item in the table. That's how I have to say it, because it creates an array really. It just breaks it down to 2 items. It would be the item of the first name and the item of the extension of that name. And then over here, you can also check the same file name and get to the end of that file name. That will be the extension, and I want you to load to make sure that it's big, because some people they might be somehow I don't know, you say image1.png and it's in uppercase, this will do the lowercase. Now remember, the reason why I did this part too, and I say file I don't know why I called it file extension, but it'll break it down. I also did a variable say PG, and these are the ones that I accept. You can accept the text, you can accept PDF, you can accept this one, and this one. You're just creating a variable with this stuff. This is an array. And what happens is when you go to the file name, oh look, there is something there. See, this is just to get things ready. But you go to the file name, it goes, oh yeah, is the file name empty? Well, it's not empty, there's something there. Then you say in an array, the file actual, this, which is here, this one here, it will say allow this. So it checks to see that the PNG or the IMG or that the PDF, if this equals to that, that's allowed, because you're allowing this. Is this in an array? If it's in these guys, if like any of these are what you just uploaded, then it's fine. It keeps going down. If it ain't, then it just follow what the opposite of this, the else, which is down there somewhere. But right now, I usually file names have the first file name plus the extension. So now you want to check for file error. If there's no error with that file, like there's a problem with that file, and there's an error, or there's something wrong with it, because you know how you get that, oh, there's a problem with the file and all that message gets in there too. So what happens is if you say, well, if there's no error with that file and the file seems fine to me, then continue. Then you say, well, the file size, is it bigger than, what big is this? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Is it bigger than 10,000 bytes? If it is bigger than, smaller than the 10 million bytes, then that's okay. Then I assign a location, a variable location, and I signed it up, my uploads. Now this here, this is an actual directory. So now it doesn't do nothing, it checks it out and assigns it to $lock, which means location. Make sure that this exists, right? When you do these things, make sure that that folder has this folder, right? And now we're going to use the move upload file, which happens to be this here. You know, it says it right here, I put it right here just in case. Function moves on upload file to a new destination. This function only works on files uploaded via the PHP, HTML post upload mechanism, and if the destination file already exists, it will be overwritten. So that's how that works. So you're gonna say this is the temporary folder, right? But creates would be what this is, the actual subfolder, and this is the name of the file that you're uploading. And if it works out fine, then it uploads it. You know, if you did that test and you keep a separate window with the directory of that particular directory, you will see how it pops in there real quick. It goes into a temporary directory when you create these things, when you upload them. That's why you have temp right here. And what happens is when you do this real quick, it goes, oh, we're going to upload it from here to there. I would have done it, well, I guess in this particular case, they made it this way. I would have, when I created this command, I would have made this one here and then put that one. Yeah, I guess it's okay that way. Maybe it's better this way. Move, okay, you know something, if you look at it, you say move uploaded file, which is this, to this. Okay, it's cool. I like it. Then if you did worked out fine, you would say you first of all, we'll say your file was uploaded successfully. That's what that be. And that's it. Then what happens is, because I was doing other things, I created another variable, the query string insert, with an update. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to add something in there. I wanted to set there is a direct inside the table. Not only do you have this info items for, man, how did that happen? That's kind of crazy. All right, let's go. Okay. Not only do you have first name, email address, last name, all that crap messages, city, my favorite sex. Not only do you have there's also a item or a field called temp uploaded file. And the reason why I did that is because if you did this, let's say you did have that upload field thing, input box, the upload one. If you had that, well, you can put it in there if this information is okay. When you submit it, it goes through the process, but it's going to do the regular stuff first. And the reason why I did that is in case you just want to take it out, you have to worry about it. So if you go like this, it goes down like this, it moves it in there, then inserts it. Even though you do this, it'll insert it anyway. The information that you got before, it will completely be put in. So in other words, if once you have found, because now that it knows this, it's going to update this stuff. You don't have to find the stuff to update this, because you can kind of do it like this right automatically. When you're searching something and you say search and then you change something and then hit the update, then it does it. But if you're just putting it straight in like this, like you just want to create a variable with this information so I can run it, it'll do that information for you because you have it here already. It's already set up. So then you do the my connect, right? Then you do the prepare statement. Then you got your bind value, remember first name and the email address, and then you execute it, and that's it. So now what happens is when you go back to the actual table, you'll see that, oh look, I updated my entry with the uploaded file name. And that's what that is. And then if for some reason there is a problem, then you're going to get that else. You have a problem with the file extension. And that's it. It uploads, and that's the end of the insert. I know it's a little long, and I kind of went off a bit, but you will see this. I'm going to cut this whole thing, and I'm going to put it in a file, and I'm going to keep it as a PHP file, which I'm going to let you upload, but in case you have a problem, I'm also going to send it, I'm going to keep it as a TXT file extension, so that way you just have to open that, cut it, and use it, right? So let's see, because we're doing the checking and all that, I'm going to put this whole thing in there. Maybe we'll have it separate. We'll do two files. We'll keep it, this will be here, because this will be the security parts here right there. So let's just do that. Let's cut this part. Let's cut this, right? Let's open up a file there. Let's put it in, and let's give it the name. We'll say since we're doing study, then we'll say secure, something like that, right? PHP. There you go. Then we're going to open up another one because I want the insert part of it right here. Remember, towards the end of everything, though, I will be giving you this whole thing as one piece, okay? Okay. Nope, not yet. Right here. Copy. Let's create a file. New file name. let's put this. And let's call it study insert PHP. Let's save it. Okay, there you go. When the time comes, we'll have that. See if we do, let's do it. Just do one. We'll call it let's refresh this thing. And let's go myself. And let's call it Fred. Nelson. The man with the 2 first name. And we have Fred at AOL. Does anybody still use that? I don't know. Then we'll put my name. Yeah, let's do this. Then we're going to say, I don't know, can you help me with my website? How about that? Then we're going to say I'm from Pennsylvania. Who else is there? Oh, Florida. I'm from Florida. Then we're going to say, so I love Subaru. So we're going to do Subaru. And of course, Fred is a male. And that should do the job. Let's see if it'll. Boom. They gave me 1. The error 1. So if we go check, insert to database completed successfully. And then if the email thing was on comment out, then we'll go straight to an email telling you. Even though people don't really check. Depends on what it is that you're doing, but at least the mechanism is there that you can do all kinds of stuff. The only thing that's stopping you is not having imagination. The way I do things is that I look at first, so I'll sit there for a little bit, so look, I'll be a website to do this. But I would like to see this and this and that. I also like to see a big banner, but maybe we'll have a video. Oh, you know something, I would love something to come all animated from the left or from the right. So maybe we'll have that, just the titles. And then maybe we'll have like 3 columns with information of what the person's about, or even making it into menu. You know, those are that's how you think about it. Put it in a piece of paper, roughly, and then just do it. Okay, so now that we did that, how about we go check? Let's go check the database. So I'm going to view the database. And there it is. Oh, here we go. Sweet as gold. Fred Nelson. Fred at AOL.com. Yes, the other field, the one with the actual file name that you would was not added to this thing here. But I mean, I could, but I just didn't want it falling apart here. I mean, I could have just add another box, or maybe just right here. But I just wanted to keep it simple. But you know, it's up to you. If you want to create records, you know, you could create records like this, but you can also create another database that will hold information that you can use for reports, for different things, or even to make JSON files out of it. So if you kind of went, let's go to the contact, and you went here and you said, let's create a JSON file. It did, it created it. So let's get down there. And then I said, well, let's read it. Boom. And there you go. You got your first This is the pretty. This is what makes it look like an array. If you did it the other way, it will go straight down like that. And then see it nicely. And look, Fred's number 6. You're gonna say, well, what happened to the 4 or 5? And why is it up? Because you deleted. Before I deleted record. And again with I deleted a record with you guys. Oops. Excuse me, guys. I should turn it off, but I gotta get my medication going. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. Anyway, this is how it works. You see everything. I'm gonna provide all this information when the time comes. The other stuff that I wanted to look, decoded data. This is when it's encoded. This is when it's decoded. Right? It looks just like a table with what's in the database. After I finish doing this stuff here, I'm gonna show to. Maybe we'll do this. I think I already showed you guys, but I'll have a separate one for the Swish. The case. I already did that already, but I think I'm pretty much done with the actual, what is it, with the contact form. What else can we give you? I think by just using what I have so far, you can do a lot. You really could. I gave it to you in different ways and weird ways, and I also broke it down so that way you can see. Let's go over here. So we can see the other stuff. What else do we have? I mean, we got the view. I did all this stuff for you, but you know, in the HTML part, you know how we broke it down where we have classes and we have IDs. That's all HTML stuff, and that will help out also with CSS. Because when you go to the CSS, maybe we'll do one for the CSS, so you can see, so you don't get confused. So I'll show you what this is, then I'll show you the CSS and show you where it is, and this is how you can use it that way. There's so much you can learn with CSS. I suggest that maybe you learn a little bit of it, but I'm showing you something like the basics, something that is used all the time. And that's about it. So I hope you learned something from this video, and if you did like it, please hit the like button and subscribe. That way YouTube can push it out more out there. Just a guy who's trying to make it, and I want to teach more people different things. I don't want to do it like the way other people do, that they hide things. I just want to make it more comfortable. That it's like you sitting right next to me, because basically that's kind of how I speak to them. And if you did it like that, I will provide more written stuff. I'll have a lot of stuff on the description below, so that we can keep track. But in the very end, I'll have the whole thing. Okay, one shot deal. I'll have it in a PHP way, and then I'll have the actual TXT file, just in case you get a problem getting that PHP. That way you can always get it from the TXT file, then you just have to change the extension to PHP. Anyway, we reached the bottom, and as hey, please give me a like, subscribe. Until next time, and good night.